I think there's a very deep misunderstanding when it comes to China. We hear lots of Western news. They say China is the next threat. Chinese are at our doors. They are going to invade us. In, they are going to influence our society and so on. It's absolutely not like this. Chinese are not interested in expanding. Chinese are interested in stability, in trade, in mutual development. We've seen through history, China was for a long time, for thousands of years, China was the largest superpower in the world. And what we're experiencing right now, let's say the last few hundred years, was an anomaly in world's history. So what China is doing right now is just taking back its original position in world history. And Chinese are not hegemonic. We've seen that through history. China could have invaded the world. China had the biggest fleet in the world, and but what did they decide? They decided to focus on their own landmass. They knew that they tried to look around. They had this fleet going around the world, and they started organizing trading platforms. So because they wanted to trade, but they didn't want to impose, to rule countries. So we don't have in history real confrontation, Chinese confrontations with other countries. On the opposite, China was actually invaded by many countries. And in reality, when you look at the Great Wall, the Great Wall was actually to protect China against invasion, not the opposite. Why would you build a wall, a Great Wall, around you if it's not for protecting yourself? So, so I think there's a deep misunderstanding. And what is sad when it comes from the West is that we ourselves in the West, we don't understand our own society, and we are trying to understand China. On the contrary, Chinese have a saying that says, "Know yourself and know your enemy." For Chinese, it is very important to have a deep understanding of your own country, own reality, own culture, own history, and then you can start learning about others. What we have in the West is a deep misunderstanding about our own countries. We have a lot of contradictions. We are a society which is not very stable. We have a political system that only a small minority is supporting, and we want to try to impose that upon the world. So why would you want to impose a system which is not working at home? Why would you impose values upon other people which are not interested in that? So Chinese, they think there should be no interference. Whatever happened in my home happens in my home, and why would you come from outside to my home and tell me what to do? So it's the motto that says, live and let live. So what is sad here is that China, actually, we can see through the Belt and Road Initiative, there's this huge project where actually we could have an integration of all Eurasia. Why doing this Belt and Road Initiative? Well, that is for mutual prosperity. Once you start trading more with other countries, you are interdependent. You grow, you're prosperous, I'm prosperous, so that's the win-win. When you look at Western hegemony, it is a small minority of elites, the globalist elites, that actually control the people we have in the West. So people should empower themselves in the West first, because their real enemy is not China. The real enemy is the 1%, those globalist elites. And what do those globalist elites want to do is destruction of nation state, deconstruction of human being, this social reengineering. So we have a society which is extremely divided. And that is the purpose. When you look at why would you divide people? Well, because the real fight is not the left against the right. It's the 99% against the above 1%. So our society is built upon these dividing lines. The more you divide people, the more people do not focus on who's the real enemy. So we have our own problem at home against the 1%. And that 1%, not only they want to control us, but they want us to go to war for them so they can have this global control of the world. The way they see us as slave labor. So when you make people poor, you make them struggle, you make them suffer. What people do? Well, they start taking drugs. They start, they don't have actually the luxury of time just to fight because they are on a survival mode. And so sadly, we are led to wars. We are being used. Not only we are divided at home, but we are being used to fight the wars of the globalist elites. And it's a very evil project because it's ultimately also about deconstruction of human being, because they see us as a consumer. So we have, they see hundreds of millions of consumers in the collective West, but they see globally how we can increase the cake, because that's how they see us: slave laborers and consumers. So before going to war against China and Russia, we should start solving our own problem back home, actually re-empowering people. We should give all people democracy. What is democracy? It's power to the people. But we should be able to write the rules of the game. So first, empower ourselves, and then stop trying to impose these Western views upon the world. This is outdated. And what is happening right now is that the world is shifting. So what is very worrying is that we have those globalist elites, all elites in the West. They are going to hit a wall. This is a time where we need to tell them, just wake up. This is time to react like adults and stop fighting those nonsense wars. Because in front of us, we have nuclear superpowers. And the next world war, might just be the last one. The Fourth World War might be a war that will be fighting with stones and sticks, because everything will be gone.